actually was really good at customer service, and it was one little guy complaining, it would have gone nowhere. So the social web, its power is that it's actually breaking this gap between what people say and what actually is. So what it's doing is it's driving brands to become authentic and to become real, which is kind of cool. And so I think it's actually fundamentally changing how PR takes place, how marketing takes place, how communications takes place. Dell, for example, which is a client of ours that we work with, a lot of this happens with crisis, had a blogger, start to brand the concept of Dell Hell, which was really the experience that people were feeling when they called Dell to try to solve problems. They get routed from one person to another and all kind of the runaround, and they called it Dell Hell. And instead of Dell coming out and saying, no, we do this really well, and ignoring the message and things just not working, they said, you know what, you're right. And they started to allow their employees, personalities, to come through the company and to genuinely explain what they were trying to do to improve things, and to genuinely apologize when they had issues, and to genuinely listen when customers had ideas, and to tell customers what they were and weren't doing about it, and fundamentally transform their brand from somebody who didn't care about customer support to a company that listens. And so now more and more stories are coming on this way, or piling on this way, and it's really changing things fundamentally for businesses. Why I think that's really cool, even for us here in the small, we live in a small region, is that the ability for a brand to really connect with people, to become influential. And I was talking to someone, a neighbor of mine, who actually has a store downtown that sells kind of a craft product, okay? And she was thinking about, the different things that they're doing, which is really cool. And so here's a little store that sells kind of some crafts in Fredericton that actually has the opportunity to build a really well-known brand because they have cool ideas about how to apply these things. If they start telling their stories, people that like those stories will follow them, and their authority will grow and their influence will grow, and then they can also, then their product sales will grow and things like that. So now it becomes a mechanism for these small businesses that just couldn't previously afford ways to get their messages out there to actually grow and influence and do really effective marketing. The cool thing I like is it's much more human. It's much more person-to-person relationships. I actually, Dell, if you buy a computer from Dell, it's this brand, you call, you don't know anybody's name, this kind of thing. But now you can know Richard at Dell, and you can call him, and he has a personality, and he has a cowboy hat, and he likes digital photography, and you can get to know him as a person. He's a nice guy, and you build a relationship with people that are part of the brand. So that to me is one of the biggest things. And if you think about businesses and where things are going and the value, kind of where the economy is going, things used to be commodity-based things, back in the agricultural days when you bought, let's say, coffee beans, and that was, the value was in the commodity. And then things moved to goods in the manufacturing era where you bought productized things and commodities were, more commoditized. I guess has become a verb, right? And then things moved more to a little bit more of a service economy where instead of buying a package of pre-ground coffee, I'm now buying a brewed cup from a store. But then that's even become commoditized, and now really customers are looking for experiences and genuine experiences. So if you think about Starbucks and why can Starbucks charge $3.50 for a cup, it's because they've created an experience around it, and social media I think is helping to ensure those are genuine experiences. People want real things, not fake stories, things like that. So anyway, those are some thoughts. Love to hear any questions, comments, or hey, where did you come from? That makes no sense. Yeah.
Can you give some examples of some bigger brands out there right now that you think are doing some really cool things in terms of engaging customers?
Yeah, and bigger brands that are doing cool things.
Or small brands.
Yeah, or smaller. So there's different ways different brands are doing things. So for example, Comcast is another one. Comcast is a cable company, and what they did, and this was a grassroots effort, a lot of people complaining about Comcast. And so there was one guy in the customer service group, his name is Frank, who started to say, okay, I'm going to start helping. So when people find that there is issues, I'll at least reach out and connect them to the right folks and things like that. And then one day, Frank happens to hear a complaint from Michael Arrington, who's the founder of TechCrunch. And he helped Michael with his broken internet connection at home. And Michael, writes this up and says, "This is the most phenomenal customer service experience I've ever had. Can you afford to do this? Because you pay more for this." And more people piled on and started to say, "Well, is this because it was Michael? Like, can the average customer get this kind of experience?" And Comcast basically said, "Frank, you got to make this happen for the whole company." So now Frank, we work with Comcast as well, has built a whole team of online customer service people, and they branded themselves Comcast Bill, Comcast Bonnie. That's who they are. If you look on Twitter, you can go at Comcast Bill, Comcast Bonnie, and they kind of share they're real people with really called Bill, and they genuinely engage, but they also tell the story of Comcast. And so now, if you have an issue there, you complain. What I like is the concept is they reverse the lineup. Instead of forcing you to line up for them, they line up for you. So instead of you having to figure out the phone number, who to call, what to press, you wait because their time is more valuable than you. You just say, "I have a problem," and they find you. You don't have to wait. It's convenient, and they can come to you and help you with your problem. So they've done a fantastic job with that. Brands you wouldn't even probably know. UPS, for example, is right on top of customer service issues. I got a late package on your blog, on Twitter. They'll look into it. And they're doing it with all kinds of kind of administrative staff that are listening and then escalating issues and things like that. So some really cool examples there. We have other cool brands like Silk du Soleil. Silk du Soleil is trying to understand what are people's reactions to the experiences of Silk, and they're trying to take that as feedback to try and improve their shows or improve, like maybe the lineup was too slow getting in or whatever it is. They're listening. So all kinds of brands really moving into listening. Yeah.